Hello to myself and everybody else. This is video 64. So far for this one, it's another practice video where I'm basically just gonna do what I did before last time. Just have the intro here, then just practice. That one's just gonna be silent, and then after that I'll just review or look over my work afterwards. So yeah, that's the main thing I'm just gonna do with that. One thing I will mention before this is that when I'm drawing this, when I'm practicing and drawing, I'm going to be using a kind of new method that I found out about from one of my other art books. So far, I got a new art book called Drawing the Head and Figure, and this one's also by Jack Ham, the guy who basically did the other book I do for the cartooning. So with this, I'm basically going to do a simplified form of basically like the armature I'm doing from the book that's in the I'm thinking out of phrases. Basically the playlist that the book I'm covering in this playlist right now, I'm going to keep using that armature. I'm going to use the simplified version from the Jack Ham book. Then I'm going to try to do the simplified skeleton afterwards. I'm just going to do that for like 3 different poses and just see how that works out. So yeah, I'll go ahead and stop rambling and just go ahead and get to it. Okay, so basically looking back, as you can see just with this whole page, because this was something made like a while ago, and then just me practicing a bunch of like simplified skeleton stuff and perspective and all that. But looking at all this, if we just zoom in here, again, just the practicing of just like perspective of the pelvis and just drawing different shapes and everything. Same thing with just trying different stuff for the skull as well, different pelvis perspectives. But so far, looking at stuff I did in this video and everything, so far these right here, I basically just practiced just drawing the pelvis in different like perspectives again. So far this one was just like a bottom view, and this one I just had to specify a top view because, just had to specify that. So far with the skulls that I drew, I still have a problem when it comes down to the jawline. It just still really doesn't look right that much. Like with this one, it's just like really pointy and everything, and this one, I feel like I kind of messed up the neck or the spine a bit. But again, it's just something where at least I'm getting like, well, I'm kind of getting sloppy with like the guideline for direction. But so far, I'm just trying to just see if I can get this down real quick. So really, I just shouldn't be too tough on myself about it. Just do what I can and just move on. Gotta just practice more over here and everything as well. But so far, if we look at the ones we did this video and everything, so far just the practice examples as well. And let me go ahead and bring up the image for it too. Okay, so basically with this, the first one and everything here, this is an example of just the armature I was practicing from the book this playlist is based off of, the How to Draw People Step-by-Step Lessons for Figures and Poses by Jeff Millam. So far, that book, just the armature that's in there, we're just practicing that method. And again, pose-wise, I still feel like I got the legs like a bit too short in comparison. Like I probably should have made the legs a bit longer because looking at the image. But so far, just getting the pose and stuff down. The arm here, yeah, I did kind of draw that a bit too low. It should probably be up a bit more. The head tilted back a bit more. But from then, I kind of have it like slanted a little bit too. Like I'm just really nitpicking like the drawing. But so far, again, it overall as a whole, it is capturing the pose. I would just have to work on like the legs a little bit because I feel like they're too short. But looking at the one here, so far the second one and everything, the whole thing I based this one off of is basically this new art book I got called Drawing the Head and Figure by Jack Ham. And so far, just flipping through that one, there was a part that specifically said something about a simplified figure drawing. And looking at that, it basically just said draw the torso and the pelvis as a trapezoid. And if they're facing the side, like that, you draw that if they're facing forward. And if they're turned to the side, you draw it as a circle, which can kind of help just get the form of the body. And the whole point of that is, again, to get the pose and everything down. You're really not worried about proportion. You're just focused on getting the pose. And so far, looking at this as well, if I had to say, yeah, it does capture the pose like pretty well and everything. Like looking at the video of me drawing it, I drew it pretty quick. I just had to think for a second on like to use either a circle or a trapezoid for the pelvis, but it was facing to the side, so I decided to use a circle. But yeah, basically just something like this. Just basically you're getting the pose down real quick, and that's the main thing that matters. Perspective wise, still a thing I have to work on a bit, but that is the main thing where the pose is perfect. It was a quick drawing just to capture it real quick. And if I were just moving on to like simplified volumes, which is way later on, I probably would be fine just drawing over this and just merging the shapes and getting what I need. I would just have to like edit maybe like the body shape a little bit, but again, it captured the pose, and that's like the whole purpose of that. And then over here, just a simplified skeleton for this. Main thing I did definitely have trouble with was the pelvis again, because for some reason, just even with me drawing without talking, I still just have a problem just getting it down sometimes. Because again, just drawing the shape on its own, you can be like, okay, here's what I need to do. But we have to sit here and think about it for a second. There can be a problem, because specifically trying to get the spine to line up with the back part of the pelvis, it can kind of get tough. It like opposite of like doing it like this, because it's very simplistic with this. It's not that tough, but again, for the simplified skeleton, this is something I would have to work on to try to like get down, just work on my perspective and everything like that as well. But I at least say this, my ribs, I finally feel like I got this down a little bit. Because if we look at, like, let's say some of the ones from earlier, like this one right here, like this one, the rib cage is like really short and just a ton of open space and everything around here for the spine. That was a huge problem I had, where I kind of learned something later on, because like with this, the arms also have like kind of pretty long as well. But basically something I learned from another book is that for the rib cage and everything, if you ever have a problem with this, basically the bottom part of the rib cage should line up with the elbows. So basically doing that can help like make the rib cage kind of a bit like more proportionate to the body. Later on you can mess with that and just do whatever you want. Like, there's no specific rule for it. It's just if you're doing anatomy and need help or something, this would just be good advice. So if the elbows are lower down, then the bottom part of the rib cage would be a bit lower down as well. So that's just the thing to really keep out for. But so far, going back to these three right here, so far looking at them, if I had to say, again, the armature that I had to draw based on a book by Jeff Millam, it's pretty good. It's just the problem is when it comes down to drawing a side view, it can become a problem. But overall, again, the armature and the simplified form, my personal preference, if I had to say, after discovering the simplified form here, I absolutely kind of prefer doing it like this. It's quicker and I can get the pose down like pretty well. It just, again, like proportion wise, like the chest and the pelvis, I'm not really worried about that too much, because I can edit that later on when I start having to worry about like details and stuff like that too. But for now, where I'm just trying to capture the pose, again, I kind of really prefer the simplified way. But so far with this playlist, I'm working with the book by Jeff Millam, so I'm going to keep doing the armature and just working with the book on this. I will do the simplified one just for me, so I can just practice that too, because I feel more comfortable with that. But so far, yeah, just again, I'll keep working with the stuff from the book, and we can just like keep seeing what's up with that and everything. But yeah, I'll just go and look at the next one, bring the next one up right now. Okay, so far with this picture and everything here, like these three right here, the main thing specifically with this one whole image on the left, this picture has been a huge problem for me to try to draw, in which in the video you also see as a problem for me as well with the simplified skeleton, because specifically with the hips, I can never tell how I'm supposed to draw this because the perspective is kind of weird. Because the torso is facing us, the hips are turned directly to the side. Trying to draw that, it always throws me off, because basically, if you look at the first image and stuff here, the armature one, yeah, it's like the hips is just a straight up dot. Like there's no line or nothing, it's a straight up dot. And then just trying to draw like the legs and everything and stuff like that. The main thing is this, if you were looking at this one image alone, like without this picture next to it, like whatsoever, you probably have a hard time telling what's going on. So it's like if somebody else came in here, looked at this and tried to do a drawing based off of it, they could do their own interpretation, but you really wouldn't know that the legs here are really turned to the side like this. Unless you really pay attention, you would just think his torso is still in the front. Like you would think this is just a design choice, that he's not turned to the side. But if you look at the simplified like figure version of him, this one you can tell way better he's turned to the side, because you can tell, okay, the torso and everything, this is where the leg starts and it's going this way, the back of the leg coming out like this. It's easier to tell, okay, his lower half is turned to the side, here's the pose he's doing. It matches the pose over here to the left a bit better than the armature one. Because so far looking at both of them as well, it's like, yeah, they both look similar, but so far this one is kind of more clear on what's going on. So that's the only thing when it comes down to using the Jeff Millam armature. It's just that, like, if you kind of just use a line for the hips, it can be very difficult for a side view. And then if we look at the simplified skeleton and everything here as well, again, I also had problems kind of doing the pelvis as well, because I'm just like, I don't know what's up with me right now, because as you can see, like with my other ones, like just my other drawings and stuff too, I can kind of do the pelvis and stuff like in other angles and things like that, like side view and everything and stuff here, like perfectly fine, everything like that. Same thing with like over here to the side, it works. I'm trying to see what else. Here I kind of drew it really small, but again, I can like just still work with it a bit. But yeah, even like here's the other one right here too. I drew the pelvis and everything at like a decent angle and stuff like that too, and it looks like it works better with this. The pose works and everything. Just, I don't know why, just with the simplified skeleton, it just takes me a while longer to just try to get the pose down a bit. I have no idea why. Maybe because I have to think about it as a 3D shape. That might be the thing with that. But so far for now, really I just need to lighten up a bit, because the whole point of the armature and the simplified skeleton is basically, the armature is just to help capture the pose quickly and maybe some of the proportion, while the simplified skeleton is basically to help give you a third dimensional look at the thing you're drawing, so it can be easier to tell like perspective, weight, and like what they're doing, like to balance it a bit more. But yeah, so far just looking at this again, just with the armature side view eyes, it's way more difficult. Using the simplified figure version kind of helps way more. So that is the thing I'm going to like start factoring in and just start doing more with my drawings. But I'll go ahead and like bring the last image up so we can look at the thing on the bottom. Okay, so with this one, basically it's the same thing and stuff as well. Where over here, the armature version of the drawing, and as you can see, again, it's the same thing, where with the hips, it's basically directly kind of to the side, so it gets tougher to really tell what's going on when you look at it. But if we look at the simplified drawing of the figure, again, it's like way easier to tell, okay, this is a side view of somebody running. Like, it's way easier to tell in comparison to the armature one, where, again, the hips, it's hard to tell what's going on there. And same thing with the arms as well. It can kind of throw off which one's in the front and which one's in the back. Because looking at it, you could definitely see this arm right here and think this arm is in the back instead of the front, like with the image over here. So that's a whole other thing there. The simplified one, that's not really a problem. You can tell this one's in the front, this one's in the back, that the figure is at the side, this leg is behind, this one is in the front. Plus it was like pretty quicker to draw as well. Really not worried about proportion too much, but again, well, with the arms and legs I was, but with the torso I really wasn't. And then here's a simplified skeleton version of it as well. The thing is, again, like with the head, I still need to work on that a lot. The ribs, I still need to work on those too. The pelvis looks alright though. It still gives it a third dimension that can help you tell what's going on. But it is definitely a thing, if I had to say, is that the simplified form version of it is kind of the quicker and better version of this by far. Because the whole thing that was said again was that with the armature to the simplified skeletons, with the Jeff Millam book that we're looking at, The whole thing with that is the armature is help get the pose and proportion, and then the simplified skeleton is help give it a third dimension, so you're able to tell better what the figure is actually doing and give it a bit of depth and weight. But really looking at the other book I got, the one by Jack Ham, the figure drawing book, using the simplified way, I can kind of get the figure down quickly and you can kind of tell what's going on way better. So really, basically outside of this, when I'm done really working with this book, I'm probably going to be using this method way more because it's quicker, get straight to the point. And then basically once I get to the point about simplified volumes, I'll be able to just like make my own estimates and even manipulate the character a bit better, where I can just like make the character taller, shorter, and the limbs I can just do whatever I want with those too. So it's basically just a matter of experimentation and everything. But for now, working with the Jeff Millen book, we'll just keep working with this, see how far we can get. We will try to get through the whole book, but basically just seeing what's going on, it's kind of just easy to tell that like this one compared to this one of them kind of tells the story a bit better, you know. But yeah, so far again with this, looking at these and everything, just a lot of practice has gone into just trying to get these down as well. Again, some of these look fine, like the skeleton wise. Some of these look okay. You can tell the depth and everything. You can see what I've been practicing. Same thing even with the simplified form of it. You can kind of tell this into this kind of helps it out a bit better compared to this right here. But yeah, the whole thing with the armature methods and everything, there's really no correct way. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with. So that's really the main important thing. It's just, again, the Jeff Millen book is just good for introducing and bringing in those concepts. And then from there, you can just like work it out the way you want, whichever one feels more comfortable. So right now, that's really what we're doing. And plus, from another book I've been reading as well, which I'm probably going to make a review video on that. Like, basically just going off, just saying what I learned from the book, and that's really it. There's like no drawing or nothing, but basically just do a review of one of the other books I just got and I'm reading. Basically, the thing I learned is that I just really need to lighten up when it comes to drawing these. Because before I was like very particular when it came down to just trying to like be as accurate as possible. Like looking at this, I was just like hyper obsessed with trying to get the pelvis right, trying to get the ribs and everything correct and everything as well. So far I can just see like the major difference in the work I put in. I can definitely tell when I take my time and try like off camera, it definitely is like playing into stuff. But right now I'm being like way too harsh on myself, just going like I'm focusing too much on proportion and trying to be accurate when I just need to focus on just getting the pose, and that's really it. Right now we're just focused on getting the pose. We can work on trying to make it more fluid or more dynamic or whatever later on when we get to like level 3, because for now, like I said again, this still has like shape in it. I can tell the pose, and then if I need to, I can just mess with the proportion myself. Like if I made the head shorter and the hips like smaller, I could just go to the side, draw it again, and just go, okay, let's try making the torso longer, shorter, the legs longer, shorter, like whatever I want. But the most important thing is just capturing the pose, and from there I can make up whatever I want. So yeah, with that being said, most likely I'm probably for the rest of this book, because the next part is working on the legs, basically making like bones and everything, and then the feet. Basically what I'll do is I'm gonna probably fly through those a bit quickly, or fly through them a bit quicker, because I'm not going to hyper obsess over detail, because the whole point of sketching is just like work on parts of a drawing and to just get an idea of what you're doing. So again, from all this practice and everything, it has helped me out quite a bit. but it's definitely a thing of inevitably I probably will like stop using half of this and just like use a simplified form, making most of this kind of pointless. But at least if it's a method I need to go back to, I can. So that's the whole thing of that. Basically, I'm just rambling a lot, just going through my work and just seeing like what I personally need to do and what's helping me out. And same thing if anybody else is looking at this, my main advice again is just lighten up and just again whatever feels comfortable, just do that. The main important thing is, and I'm basing it off of another book I read, is just find a good balance between your own style, or find a good balance between the object you're drawing and your interpretation of it. So far, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate, as long as you're like, I can see this is similar to what I was trying to draw, then you're fine. So again, just don't overthink it too much. Just keep it, if you need to keep it as basic as possible, don't be afraid to do that. Keep it basic. And then from there, you can just try again until you feel like you got it down. But overall, just don't hyperfixate over little details, because right now we're still in the area of just practicing, just trying to understand the main concepts and get a feel for this, making our hand comfortable with drawing. So yeah, just again, just stay light with it. Don't overthink it too much. Just try your best. And if you think it looks horrible, take a break, come back, and you probably go, it's not as bad as I thought it was. But yeah, so far the next video should be us working on the legs and the feet in the simplified skeleton level. So we'll go and work on that and just do our best. So to myself and everybody else, see you in the next one.